Hi everybody, this is Karen, and this is Kinetic Karma that you're tuned into. Thank you for joining me today. You want to come say hi? Come on. Come on. Come on. This is Beauty, who may as well be a part of this channel because she loves being on camera, she loves attention, and she's a Buddhist dog, right? Okay, get down. Get down now. Get down, Beauty. She don't like being rejected though, but she's still like one of the best dogs that I've had. At any rate, I like to, again, thank you for joining me. Let me say a quick prayer. Dear Mother, Father, Spirit, thank you for allowing me to come through to my viewers. Thank you for allowing me to connect with their guides and my guides with theirs, and for me to be a channel to bring through information that will be uplifting, that will be guiding, that will be in hopes benefiting the whole, not just the individual, but everybody involved. Thank you for this. Amen. I just did 2 videos today. I'm on a roll. I did a part 1 and a part 2 about how to navigate doubt from a spiritual perspective. That was real interesting. And in those videos, I mentioned that the reason I picked that topic is because I was experiencing a great deal of doubt around a video that I did. And when I think about it, it's not so much that I was doubting the value of it as I was doubting the possible misinterpretation of the things that I was saying in the video and how that might be taken, because it was really a freestyle. Someday I may be willing to release it, not right now. But out of that, I got the impetus, the motivation to start a new series of videos solely based on women archetypes, female archetypes that have gotten bad rep in our cultures, in different cultures. So I'm going to pick archetypes. It doesn't have to be just Christianity. It could be Hinduism. It could be Buddhist. It could be Native American, Indian. I don't know. Whatever comes to me is what I'm going to talk about on each one of these videos. But today, I'm going to stick with the one that came up in the video that I didn't want to publish for a number of reasons right now. I really felt that I hit on some really sensitive subjects, and I didn't want any more issues with anybody in my life at this point. I'm dealing with enough right now. So I figured, okay, let's do this. The topic is Lilith. Lilith, as far as I can see, was some people say that she originated in the Judaism, and that she was Adam as in the Bible, Genesis, Adam's first wife, and that God created Adam and Lilith at the same time. And Lilith refused to be submissive to Adam. I mean, it goes in different, the story goes in different ways about how she went about refusing to be submissive. But the fact is, pretty much across all of the stories, wherever you look from where the theory came from, she was not going to be submissive to Adam. She was going to be her own woman. She stood on her own 2 feet. She had her life and her views of her own. She didn't need or want to follow a man. She wanted to be in partnership with a man, but not dominated by a man. So Lilith was banned from the Bible. She was X'd out of the Bible, as far as I can see. And Eve was invented, where God then created the second woman called Eve, who he created from the rib of man to be a support and a help to man. Unlike Lilith, who was created equally to man and had her own mind and things that she had in store, and I guess they just couldn't get along, so she left. She was banished, she left. However it happened, she's not there. The space would not allow for her to remain with Adam in the Garden of Eden because she was rebellious. And then, as far as I can see, the story developed, and the more it developed over time, it seems to me, the worse rep Lilith got. She became a demon that eats babies and all kinds of crazy stuff, which I'm not real sure is really fair to Lilith. I think Lilith got a bad rep because she had power, and she had just as much power as Adam had, and men have a problem with that sometimes. The male ego sometimes can be fragile, and in order for it to cope, in order for it to feel okay, sometimes or a lot of times, in my experience, I don't know about yours, the male energy, the masculine energy, feels a need to dominate and control the feminine. Now, in today's society, we see that with the politicians trying to control a woman's body. We see that with the anti-abortion movement, killing, literally killing in the name of life, doctors who do abortions. We see that in the judicial system, where a large number of women, after having devoted their lives, a good part of their lives, the best parts of their lives, to childbearing and marriage and children, bearing children and nurturing and bringing up a family, get divorced, and they wind up in poverty. This is no joke. We see this in the fact that there's inequality in the workforce in terms of how women get paid and how men get paid. I used to work as a commercial realtor in sales, and it was a very, very much so male-dominated field. It just was. And I worked in the commercial real estate area for about 5 years. And for the 5 years that I worked in that field, I only met one other female that was actually engaged in sales, because that's where you make most of your money. Leasing is good, and you can make a lot of money in leasing if you have a mega lease, like a big what am I saying? Like a shopping center or a mall, and you lease out, or you have exclusivity in terms of the lease, and other agents bring you people who are interested, and you get paid off of that. You can make a lot of money that way. But a good amount, good, quick, fast money is made in the sale of commercial property every day in all kinds of neighborhoods, and we don't even know it. These people come in and out, they make deals like lightning, and they're gone, and you never see them. And major thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars are made, sometimes millions. But it is heavily, I'd say 98%, if not more, dominated by males. Okay? You see it in corporate America, where women are forced to take on more of a masculine demeanor in order to be successful, or in order to fit in with the higher echelon. The higher up you get, the more you have to, well, it's not, you don't have to, but it's like a highly male dominated field, and you become more masculine because you're competing with and dealing with a lot of masculine energy. And so the thinking is masculine, the ways of being are masculine, the ways of looking at things are masculine. It's just a lot. So at any rate, I'm talking about all the ways that women experience inequality, and these are just a few ways that come to my mind. All right. I personally feel that, oh, and let me not forget the witch hunts. which will probably be my second video that I'll do on the rep that witches got, or the word witch, and how highly triggered that is, and what really happened, and the tragedy and trauma around that for women who heal naturally, who pay attention to their intuition, who pay attention to their creativity. It's a damn shame. At any rate, Lilith. Let's get back to Lilith. Lilith now is more along the lines of prostitute. They want to portray her like everything that is bad, everything that connotates a woman that is bad. I'm going to do archetype cards now from Carolyn Miss, and ask the oracle exactly what it is that we're looking at, the shadow and the light attributes of Lilith. Please give us a card to help us to understand what it is we're dealing with. A card, a couple of cards. So this is the first one. It is victim. The light attribute prevents you from letting yourself be victimized or victimizing others. Prevents you from letting yourself be victimized or victimizing others. And the shadow attribute is playing the victim for positive feedback in the form of pity and ability to maintain personal boundaries. So somehow Lilith was made... that's interesting. I'm going to come back to that. Can I have another card, Spirit, please? Okay. We have Destroyer. The light attribute is releasing what is potentially destructive, preparing for new life, which definitely happened when she left the Garden of Eden. Yay! And shadow attributes are intoxicating with destructive power, destroying others' dreams or potential. That's unfortunate. And one more card, because I'm doing a triangle here. This is going to be the base. Lilith, please. Okay. This card is Monk Nun. And the light attribute is self-devotion and single-minded dedication to spirit. And the shadow attribute is negative judgment of the physical world, excess piety. Negative judgment of the physical world, excess piety. As in, you know, money is evil, that kind of a thing. Like, if you judge money and you say that it's evil, and that you're only religious or spiritual if you renounce money or those kinds of things, that's considered, in my book, excess piety. And the light attribute, the self-devotion and single-minded dedication to spirit, makes me think, in terms of Lilith and her attributes, her light attributes, that she was single-mindedly dedicated. She honored spirit above Adam, above, you know, everything. And the spirit that she honored above Adam was her spirit, her God-created spirit. Because God is in all of us. God, we are, a drop of God is in all of us. She looked within and honored that first, and then seek to honor the outside. But sometimes there is confusion about that. Sometimes when a woman pays more attention to herself and doesn't defer to her man or to the male energy in the relationship, there's an expectation a lot of times that you should forego your own self-care, forego your own benefits and dreams and desires so that you can sacrifice for the male, and that's because you're a woman that is what you should do. Well, it happens a lot. It has happened a lot in our society that has been taught to women, has been, you know, brainwashed into women. It was brainwashed into me. It was taught to me that I should be seen and not heard, that I should be submissive versus dominant. If I'm being dominant, then I'm being a bitch. Where if a man is using the same dominance, then he's being powerful. So the interpretation of who a person is being depends and is looked at in conjunction with their sex, with their, who they're born, the body that they're born into. It's not inherent that I'm powerful because I'm powerful. It's inherent and connected in our society that we live in, that you're powerful because you are a man, or you're not powerful because you're a woman, and women can be weak. Women can make exceptions, but men have to be strong. Men have to be powerful. So those kinds of perceptions are prevalent in our society, but they're not true. They're not necessarily true. And in growing and learning and experiencing myself, doing things that were programmed into me when I was under the age of 6, from birth to 6, I had, certain roles programmed into me. I was given doll babies and kitchen sets, and I was taught to be submissive. And that is, in fact, what happened as I got older and I started having a family. I put myself aside, my needs, my wants aside, and I cared strictly for my family. I didn't look to my husband to do the sacrificing. I looked to my husband to do the providing. And I gave up my power. I gave up my job. I gave up my full choice in the matter. And I did it because it was programmed into me at a very, very early age. But going through life, and then the many, many years that I spent in my marriage, and looking and being unhappy, and having my children grow up and leave, and then leaving me to what it is that is left, which is a shell of who I used to be, because now I had no power. My children were grown. I sacrificed everything. I gave everything. They grew. They left. They're having children of their own. And I'm left alone. I'm left, with no profession, no trade. I have always been studying, well, for a lot. I mean, if I could say I studied anything over all of those years, it has been my spirituality. It has been doing readings, becoming a Reiki Master, doing yoga, those types of things. But in terms of making money, nothing. No continuous, direct association with me bringing income in, because I got spoiled. I got lazy. I didn't need to make money because my husband made enough for both of us. But that was a mistake, because also, as I gave up my ability to support myself and I gave up my ability to make my own choices. And I could be, I found, looked at, and I was constantly looked at as lazy, or not doing enough, or not doing my fair share because I wasn't working, but I was doing other things. And I was doing other things, I would say, to my advantage, quite successfully. I raised 3 kids. None of them went to jail that I know of. They're contributing, fully functioning members of the society, law-abiding. And so I like to think that I did a good job. I like to think I had an impact on the community as I traveled, as I served on the community associations, as I was PTA president in some of my kids' schools. I like to think I had an impact on not just my children, but others as well. So those are the things that I did, but I didn't get credit. I didn't get recognized. I got people hating me, jealous of me, envious of me, not understanding who it was or what it was I was, and how I got what I had. And so it was quite traumatizing. But the victim light attribute prevents you from letting yourself be victimized or victimizing others. So that's the positive attribute. When properly recognized, the victim alerts you when you're in danger of letting yourself be victimized, either through passivity or rash, inappropriate actions. And I'd say I had both of those. Passivity, a lot going on, because I was very passive in terms of me taking care of myself and protecting myself first. And in terms of inappropriate, rash actions, because I was so passive and such, and I had given up so much of my power. When I felt like I was wrong, I would be rash. I would immediately get highly emotional about the wrong that I felt was done because I had no power. But I didn't realize the intricacies of the things that were happening at the time, of the dynamics of what was happening. I did not understand that. I didn't understand because I gave my power up and something happened that I didn't like. I couldn't choose differently because I had no power, because I gave it up. So also helps you to see your own tendencies to victimize others for personal gain. That one I'm not so sure I can see for myself, but shadow victim shows you that you might like to play that role because the positive feedback you get in the form of sympathy or pity. The victim role. So I could be a victim because I would get sympathy or pity. I don't think I got pity or sympathy, but some of you out there may. You may be, that may be what you're getting out of it. For me, I can tell you what I got out of my situation. I wanted to play the victim. When I played the victim, it was because of fear. It was a fear that I couldn't do what I needed to do for myself because I had sinking so deep into passivity, so deep into submission until I couldn't find my power. And so I couldn't rise up. So what I got out of being the victim was sympathy. It wasn't sympathy. It was a reason to stay in it until I actually had to just take a really, really hard look and acknowledge that I created this situation. I took my power back and I slowly began to climb out of the dark pit that I had dug for myself. Everyone has the archetype. The goal is always to learn how to recognize these inappropriate attitudes in ourselves and others and to act accordingly. And it's important to recognize them in others because they can use those things to generate pity and compassion, or to get money from you, or to milk you of whatever it is they want from you by acting as a victim, by showing up as a victim. Nobody's a victim, not even the beggar on the street. Even the beggar on the street, if you are human and you have power and you're breathing, if you are breathing, you have power. It's what you choose to direct your power towards. A beggar on the street, I have seen many. They will beg for $1 or whatever it is that they want, but I guarantee you, if they have a habit, that habit is satisfied. If they smoke, they have cigarettes. If they drink, they have liquor, or they're about to provide that for themselves consistently because the habit demands that. And they find power to get that because it is a habit. But just like they find power to get the things that bring them down and keep them where they are, they can find power to pull themselves up out of where they are if they're willing to do a real rigorous self-evaluation of themselves. And I didn't mean to be on a tangent, but that's what I really felt about the victim. But as it relates to Lilith, I think that Lilith didn't let anybody victimize her. She never gave her power up. She remained in her light attribute of the victim, which was being aware of when someone was trying to pull it, and she said no, and she paid the price for that. She left the Garden of Eden. And I think that's simply put. Why does her character have to be disparaged and she be painted as a baby eater or killer or whatever after the fact? I think is beyond fair in terms of characterizing anybody as demonic or evil just because they want to be powerful. But unfortunately, in today's world, when you're powerful as a woman, like I said, you're characterized as a bitch. Where the same attitudes and behaviors and actions done by a man are characterized as powerful. So I really question the exaggeration, what I think is an exaggeration of the Lilith archetype. I'm not saying there's not a shadow side to the Lilith archetype. I'm saying that the Lilith archetype gets a really dramatic, overdrawn expression, I believe. And just as, and I'm paralleling that to how women are till this day treated in terms of when they want to be powerful and have their power, how they're treated, how they're characterized by the dominant male controlling society, because males do control this society, not women. They're in power in the legal areas, they're in power in the political arenas, they're in power everywhere you look. So that's that. So then the destroyer. Impulse to destroy and rebuild is archetypal, can be beneficial when releasing that which is limiting us. Like, I guess, the disagreement between Lilith and Adam. As the therapists or spiritual masters who destroy our illusions. As therapists or spiritual masters who destroy our illusions. And when they're talking about illusions, I'm thinking they're talking like those things that the society programs into you, like you're the princess and the king is going to come and the prince is going to come and rescue you, and you're going to go run off and live a happily ever after, and he's going to treat you great, and there's not going to be any problems, or if they are, they're going to be minor, and you'll have what you have, your happily ever after. Those are illusions. There are illusions that us females, are any less powerful or valuable or clear or logical or whatever you want to call it than men are. It's just that we are built differently. Yes, we are built differently, but it doesn't take away our intrinsic equality when it comes to value. It does not. Okay. Can be beneficial when releasing that which is limiting us as a therapist or spiritual masters who destroy our illusions. Shadow. Destroyer becomes intoxicated with destruction power and can manifest as a dictator or a nation that destroys other nations, or as a people who destroy the environment. Mother Earth is feminine. She's the one that supports us all. And what's going on today is of great harm, and it is due to men, not to the masculine energy, not in essence, not directly attributed to women, though we always create, promote, or allow something if it's showing up in our life. So we can't be totally isolated and not responsible in no matter who we are, women or men, feminine or masculine. But the actual thinking that got us to this place where we're having to deal with our environment, or the environment will deal with us in terms of extinction, is a place that was generated and created by non-appreciation of Mother Earth, greed, of limited vision and limited responsibility in terms of the consequences that the current actions and the previous actions that man, or that the people who were in control, which were basically masculines, took to get us to where we are, and what that's going to produce for our children and our children's children. So that's the kind of shadow side that the destroyer has. And as it relates to Lilith, I'm not real sure what her real negative attributes are, because I haven't studied them fully, and I don't believe the baby eater, and that part of it. I could see where she might be like really upset that she was not able to stay and eating. Maybe not. I don't know. But the light attribute is releasing what is potentially destructive, preparing for new life. She definitely did that. She definitely stood in her power when she left the Garden of Eden, if she did it on her own. Or she was banished and she was in the state of mind of, I'm going to get you, sucker. I'm going to get you. I'm going to prove that, that I am more powerful. It could have become an ego battle, and that's how the Lilith archetype can show up in some circumstances where she may be using her feminine wiles and her feminine powers in order to get back at the masculine for hurting her or trying to diminish her in any way. Okay? In terms of the monk nun, let me go there. Monk nun possesses spiritual intensity, devotion, dedication, persistence, perhaps wisdom. Able to be single-minded, assiduous, devoted to a spiritual path or to any work that requires intense focus, including art and business. Celebrate, conserves vital energy for work and spiritual practices. Conserves vital energy for work and spiritual practices. Shadow, monk nun is removed from the real world, overly pious and self-absorbed. Determine whether you have a serious life pattern of removing yourself from the world and personal relationships to focus intently on spiritual practices. That may be something that Lilith did. That is the shadow side. That she removed herself in order to work on spiritual practices, and so created an imbalance where now the shadow side is that she's not rounded out by the masculine energy. She doesn't have that. That could be a shadow aspect of her. And as such, too much femininity, too much emotion, too much of anything that is the feminine, and not enough of the masculine to balance it out. We have to always think yin and yang. What's in the light is a speck of dark that eventually takes over the light, and when it gets to a certain point, because the light is in the dark, it goes back to the light and grows again. So I think when we're talking Lilith, we're talking a lack of balance, a need to have both, a recognizing of the value of both, the masculinity and the feminine, and not destroying a person's character or persona by making highly dramatic, outrageous accusations about a person, about a female energy, like she's a whore or she's a gold digger. Gold digger is an explicit, very good example of disparaging women in general. The term gold digger means that there's women who are looking inherently, that women inherently look for a man's money. They're looking to get some type of financial gain out of the man by marrying the man or tricking the man into giving him, money and more money, and that's the that women don't have, other needs other than financial needs, and that women can't. It assumes that women can't create financial independence on their own or sustain themselves on their own to the level of their liking. Gold digger is like really just a really negative term. And I don't really know of a term for the masculine that is as prevalent in terms of being used and identified, and you say the word, people know what you mean. What term is there for men who do that? There's not really a term that is as widespread as that. And as far as I can see, I mean, if there is, please list it, because I don't think so. I know there's gigolo, but it's not, doesn't have as bad of a connotation as gold digger, and it's not used as much. So these are the things that we're looking at, and when we're talking about the victim archetype, that's on the left hand side of this triangle, and the destroyer is on the right, so the left is the feminine, the right is the masculine. The left is the inward, internal ways of being and actions and so forth and so on, how it manifests in our physical world. And the masculine is the external, extroverted ways of being that manifest in our physical world. So there's the victim, which is the feminine side, the destroyer, which is the masculine, and the monk nun at the base of the Lilith archetype. Okay? So I want to do a reading from the Sun and the Moon Tarot by Vanessa DeCourt. And the reading that I want to do is, I want to do like a 3-card, they're telling me 3 cards across for Lilith as a positive archetype. Please, Spirit, give us more information on Lilith as the positive archetype and how we can use Lilith now in terms of what we're doing in our lives and the energy that we're currently dealing with. 3 cards. The Lovers, the Universe, and the 8 of Cups. And that's funny because the 8 of Cups has to do with walking away. The Lovers was Lilith and Adam in the Garden of Eden. And the Universe is a change of mind and walking away. So for those of us who are challenged in relationship, in love relationships specifically, intimate relationships specifically, the advice is to accept that there is a whole world, that this one person that you're in relationship with is not the universe. But there is a universe, but you'll only obtain that new or the other side of the universe, the other experience, if you walk away and honor who it is you are, honor your value, and honor yourself, and know and understand what it is that drives you in a positive way, in a way that supports you and nourishes you. If you're in a relationship and you're not being nourished, then please, understand that there's a whole universe. There's a whole bunch of people on this planet that you could become involved with, and out of them, surely somebody is there to support what it is that you need in a way that will support you in being balanced in your male and your female energies. If you're currently unbalanced, then leave, walk away, do what Lilith did, and create another space where you can create in a powerful way, where you can be supported in a powerful way, where you can be honored and loved in a powerful way, versus feeling unhappy. Now I want to know how the shadow side is showing up. The shadow side is showing up with the Ace of Swords, truth, the Ten of Swords, wow, stabbed in the back, and the Hanged Man, not knowing what to do. That's, right off the bat, that's what I get. I get that there's a major truth that is clear and unmistakable, and you know it because it caused you pain, and you're on your face with 10 swords in your back. So there's no denying this truth. And it's leaving you in a place of indecision, is leaving you in a place of not being able to respond. And responding is to be able to take responsibility for what has occurred and take action to get yourself out of that situation. The shadow side is you're not getting out of the situation because, you haven't reached the point of where you are ready to accept responsibility for what it is that you have created, not the other person. Even though they were the one who did the stabbing, there was somebody who had to stab you in the back. You didn't stab yourself in the back, but you knew the truth, so you may as well have been responsible for those swords being in your back, because it was clear to you before this ever happened. You had signs, you knew what was occurring, and you allowed it to happen. Remember, create, promote, or allow. That's what we do. You allowed, and you got 10 swords in your back because of it. It was very painful. It was very clear. And this is the present. And the future is the hangman of the shadow side of the Lilith archetype. And when Lilith goes into the shadow side, then you sink below your consciousness, because you don't want to be conscious of the things that cause you to allow yourself to be victimized. You don't want to look at the pain in your life and heal that pain and address that pain of something that happened a long time ago that created the setup for you to allow yourself to get hurt now. And so you stay in the pain and you sink lower and you start to do things from the shadow aspect, where all that you really need to do if you want to be in the light part of the Lilith attribute is to realize, okay, I had pain. There was something. I created this 10 of swords. I allowed it, and someone, my lover, stabbed me in the back. But in order to, move on, move on from that relationship, realize that, yeah, that was one experience, but it's not the world. The world is made up of two sides, or four sides: the south, the north, the east, and the west. Am I standing in all of that right now? No. I may be on the west. Maybe you need to go to the east and figure out what the goodies are there. What is going to support you there? Who are you going to be there? And how can you be more powerful there? And where can you get the support that you need in order to do that from? Well, you can only do that if you walk away. You can't do that in indecision, in an energy of indecision and just hanging out, because you'll continue to relive the pain in that aspect. So that is the Lilith archetype. I hope I did it some justice. I'm not sure that I did, but if you got anything out of this, I'm so glad. Namaste. Please like and subscribe, and I think the next reading I'm going to do is going to be on the witch archetype. Thank you. Goodbye.